In a dark Tokyo apartment, she turns her head and looks into the camera. Tens of millions of people watched that moment. Almost all of them were fooled. For about 12 seconds, the clip shows something that looks impossible. A glowing figure floating inside a glass tower on a countertop, standing in what appears to be total darkness. She breathes, she gestures, she tilts toward whoever is holding the phone and holds their gaze like she knows they are there. The caption said it all. Unbelievable footage of Japan's $1,500 dating robot, leaked before release, and the internet lost its mind. Within days, the clip had jumped from a quiet corner of Japanese technology forums onto every major Western platform. It was pulled apart, slowed down, reacted to, and quotes shared by robotics analysts and artificial intelligence ethicists arguing about the end of human relationships. On one platform after another, the same 12 seconds racked up view after view until the combined total pushed past tens of millions of impressions. Here is what almost none of those millions of viewers realized. The footage was real. The robot was real. But the story attached to it was a complete fabrication, engineered to go viral. And once you understand how it was built, you will never look at a leaked technology video the same way again. This is the anatomy of a manufactured leak. Start with the machine itself, because the machine is genuine. The device in the footage is a character summoning display, the third generation of a product built by a Tokyo company that has spent nearly a decade chasing one very specific dream, letting a person share their home with a digital character. It is a rectangular glass tower, roughly 55 centimeters tall, weighing about 5 kilograms, small enough to sit on a desk or a kitchen counter. Inside that glass, an anime-styled character appears to float in midair. In the viral clip, that character is the company's own long-running mascot, a cheerful digital figure voiced by a professional Japanese actress, speaking warm, welcoming, companion-style dialogue to whoever is in the room. And the price everyone fixated on. Early backers could reserve it for around $1,066, but the standard launch price lands right at the number that went viral, $1,500. The company chose that figure deliberately, positioning the device as premium hardware, roughly the emotional weight of an engagement ring. Because that is the first clue that something about this whole story does not add up. Real leaked hardware does not usually arrive with such a clean, camera-ready price tag already attached. This is not some overnight startup either. The company behind it has been building character companion devices since the mid-2010s, long before the current wave of generative artificial intelligence made talking to a machine feel natural. Earlier versions leaned on a small internal projector and a fixed corporate character. This new generation throws almost all of that out. And that single decision is what powers the illusion you saw in the footage. Understanding that one change is the key to the entire mystery, and to seeing exactly how a corporate demo became a global panic. Quick note, I'm doing a $100 Amazon gift card giveaway to celebrate when this channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. No action required to enter. I'll randomly pick a winner once we hit the milestone. If you want to follow the journey, feel free to subscribe. Now back to the footage. So how does a flat piece of glass make a character look like she is standing in your room? The secret is a switch in display technology. Older versions of this device used a projector, which meant low contrast, faint ghosting, and the constant hum of a cooling fan. The new generation abandons the projector entirely and replaces it with a high-definition, tablet-sized OLED panel. That change is everything. An OLED screen can produce true black because each pixel simply switches off. There is no backlight bleeding through, no gray haze. So when the character stands against a dark background, the background is not dark, it is genuinely nothing. Your eye reads a bright, sharp figure surrounded by pure void, and your brain fills in the rest. She must be floating in space. Then comes the second trick. 300 small LED lights line the inside of the chassis, and they shift color and brightness in sync with the character's movements and mood. When she moves, light spills onto the surrounding glass, casting a soft glow into the physical world. That is the detail that sells it. The character is not just on a screen. She appears to be casting light into your actual room. Now here is where the story turns. If you run the most basic verification any journalist would run, a reverse image search on the keyframes, the trail does not lead to some anonymous factory whistleblower. It leads straight back to official press releases, published by the manufacturer itself, distributed through Japan's major press wire in late January of 2026. The metadata tells the same story. Timestamps and file data from the earliest high-resolution uploads confirm the footage was produced systematically by the company and its motion capture partners. This was not filmed in secret. It was a polished corporate demonstration, officially titled as a trailer, running exactly 1 minute and 8 seconds, built to promote a crowdfunding campaign planned for that April. The clip everyone called a leak had a marketing title and a release date. So what happened? Western aggregator accounts, the kind of pages with hundreds of thousands of followers that exist to farm reactions, scraped the official video. They trimmed it down to its most striking 12 seconds, stripped away the corporate branding, and re-uploaded it with a new caption calling it an unauthorized leak. And here is the part that makes it almost elegant. The company never fought it. The chief executive issued no denial and requested no takedowns. He let the fake leak run because the fake leak was doing his marketing for free. And while everyone argued about whether the robot was conscious, the footage was quietly hiding its single biggest weakness. Watch the clip and the device looks completely self-contained, sitting alone on a table, cables carefully kept out of frame. That framing is deliberate. Because this $1,500 device is not actually a robot in any meaningful sense, and it is not even a standalone computer. It is, in plain terms, a very specialized monitor. To do anything, it has to stay tethered by cable to a separate, high-powered personal computer that the owner has to supply. That external machine does all the heavy lifting, rendering the character and running the large language model that generates her speech. If you watch closely, you can even see the evidence. There is a short, noticeable delay between when a person speaks and when the character answers, a lag of a second or two. That pause is not a glitch. It is the sound of your words traveling out to a cloud-based artificial intelligence and back. It is the reason the whole thing works, and the thing the leak framing worked hardest to hide. But raw hardware is not what made tens of millions of people stop scrolling. Something about that turn of the head, that moment of eye contact, hit people in a deeper place. To understand why, you have to understand an idea proposed by a Japanese roboticist back in 1970, the Uncanny Valley. The theory goes like this. As an artificial being becomes more human-like, we feel more warmth toward it, right up until it becomes almost, but not quite, human. At that razor's edge, our affection collapses into a deep sense of unease. Something looks alive but wrong, and it disturbs us on an instinctive level. One of the researchers who has spent years refining this idea is Dr. Carl McDorman of Indiana University, and he is careful to point out that it is not an iron law. Quote, Maury's theories were based on his personal experience, but have been highly influential. Still, scientific support for Maury's Uncanny Valley has been mixed, and it should be thought of as a heuristic rather than a hard and fast rule. End quote. Here is the fascinating part. The device sidesteps the valley on purpose. By making its characters clearly stylized anime figures instead of chasing photorealism, it never even tries to look human. It stays safely on the near side of the valley, comforting rather than creepy. In Japan, where audiences have grown up immersed in animation and virtual characters, that stylized figure reads as warm and genuine. For many Western viewers, though, something else was going on. The discomfort was not that the character failed to look human. It was the idea itself, a machine built specifically to stand in for a human partner. They were not falling into the visual uncanny valley. They were falling into an emotional one. And that emotional divide is exactly what the viral cascade exposed. On Western platforms, the loudest comments treated the device as a warning sign of a lonely, collapsing future. Viewers reached again and again for the same reference: the holographic artificial girlfriend from a well-known science fiction film. Many got the facts wrong, insisting the device was a conscious, self-aware intelligence, or imagining it had a physical body with moving limbs. It had neither. But underneath the panic, some raised a genuinely serious point. Ethicists warned about what they call designed relationality, the idea that these companions are deliberately built to hook into our social instincts through a careful rhythm of attention, disclosure, and reassurance. The fear is not that the machine is too weak, it is that it is too easy. A companion that never argues, never disappoints, and always agrees may quietly train a vulnerable person to prefer it over the messy, difficult work of real human connection. And some researchers who study the ethics of these relationships argue that a bond built on total compliance is missing the very things, intimacy, attachment, and reciprocity, that make a relationship real. In Japan, the reaction could not have been more different. There was very little dystopian panic. Instead, the most popular comments were practical and creative. People praised the upgrade from projector to OLED, celebrated the end of that old cooling fan noise, and got excited about something the Western coverage almost entirely missed. The device is an open platform. Owners can import their own three-dimensional avatars and connect their own software. To that audience, this was not a replacement for a partner. It was a premium display case for the characters they had created themselves. And that, quietly, is the vision the company always intended. Rather than fight the dating robot label, the chief executive simply ignored it and kept talking about something else entirely. In his framing, the device is not an artificial girlfriend at all. It is the ultimate stage for the generative artificial intelligence era, a display built to bring any character to life. By moving the expensive computer outside the device, he argued, they freed up the budget to make the characters themselves shine, and built something that can keep improving as artificial intelligence improves around it. Then came the numbers that ended the debate. When the crowdfunding campaign finally launched at the end of April, it hit its funding goal in about 1 minute. Within 24 hours, it had pulled in more than 45 million yen, roughly $300,000. The manufactured leak had done its job perfectly. A quiet corporate demo had been transformed into a global event, and that global attention converted directly into cash. So step back and look at what really happened here. A company published an honest demonstration of a glowing anime character in a glass box. Strangers on the other side of the world stripped away the truth, wrapped it in a lie, and called it a leak. And that lie traveled 10 times farther than the truth ever could have, because the lie told us a story we were primed to believe, that the future had already arrived in secret and that it wanted to replace us. The strangest part is that the machine at the center of it all is far more modest than the panic suggested. It is a beautiful screen tethered to a computer, running conversations through the cloud, telegraphing its own artificial nature with every stylized frame. The technology was never really the unsettling part. What the footage actually revealed was us. How easily we are moved by a turn of the head, how badly we want to believe, and how quickly a simple, honest piece of glass can be turned into a mirror, showing us our own deepest hopes and fears about being alone. So the real question the footage leaves behind is not whether the robot is ready for us. It is whether we are ready to be honest about why we could not look away.